Hey guys, my name's Lisa,
And I'm Brittany.
And I'm Tara.
and this is the Imperfect Moms Club. Each week, we promise to give you the honest truth about all things mommyhood, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the real ugly. In today's episode, we wanted to introduce ourselves and talk about that giant elephant in the room called quarantine. Hey guys, my name is Lisa. I am a 30-year-old stay-at-home mom and wife. My daughter Lillian is 20 months old, and we are expecting baby girl number 2 in May. Honestly, I'm terrified at the thought of having 2 kids, but we'll see what happens. My brain just can't seem to get used to the idea yet. I absolutely love being a mom and watching my daughter learn and grow each day. In my opinion, there's nothing better out there. However, I'm also unafraid to admit that it's the hardest job in the whole world. Some days it feels impossible. And being pregnant with a toddler in tow? Yikes. I've struggled with anxiety for most of my life, and I also have depression. Depression was new for me. I began treatment for postpartum depression just 5 weeks after Lily was born. PPD hit me really hard. It took a long time for me to start crawling back up to the surface. What seems to help me the most is being open and honest about all these different feelings I'm having, and to just talk about them. All feelings are valid no matter how uncomfortable. It took me a long time to understand that. There were days where I really felt like the world's worst human for how I felt toward my own child. This is why I wanted to bring this podcast to life with these other 2 beautiful moms. I want moms everywhere to know that you are not alone, and we can all share in this crazy thing called motherhood together.
Well, hello there. My name is Brittany, but online I am known as Miss Yellow Shoes. I'm married to my high school sweetheart, and we're both educators. We have 2 spunky little girls, Clara, she's 5, and Molly is 3. We recently moved to Maine, where my husband is the administrator of a small school, and I teach kindergarten. I am all about play-based learning, and I love sharing hands-on activities on my Instagram. I'm also really real over there. I show up half the time with no makeup on, and I'm definitely not one of those perfect Instagram mommies that you see with the perfect hair and the amazing breakfast spread on the table. It's just me in real life. I just want to be that friend who you can come to when you're looking for something fun and educational to do with your kids, but also someone that you can relate to. I am not perfect. I have struggles like every other mom out there. And most of the time, I don't make our beds. My kids don't have all 5 food groups in their lunch boxes. And more often than not, I have to rewash my laundry because it's been sitting in the machine for 2 to 3 days. And sometimes I fail as a mom, and I'm here to talk about it. Through this podcast, I'm hoping to share some of my real life experiences as a working mom and share some things that I've struggled with, whether that be mental health, self-doubt, the comparison game that we all fall into. I'm here for you, and you can be rest assured, you are not alone.
Hey, I'm Tara, first-time mom of 1 sweet, sweet baby girl, wife, and crazy dog lady. I'm a Midwest native, now living the mountain life, currently learning and loving all things mom, then balancing all that love and all the feels while being a full-time nurse in a pandemic. Jump on, it's a wild and crazy ride.
So, how has your year been?
Well, I'll start off. And so my husband and I, we both work at a school. So he's the administrator. I'm the kindergarten teacher. This is actually our first year at this school. And This is his first year ever being administrator. And then COVID hit.
Oh, God.
So it's like, and then there's like the basic school drama, he's fighting with her, this parent doesn't like the grade or whatever. And then quarantine. And we're like, wait, what? So that was kind of a bumpy ride. And I'm like, okay, if we can get through COVID, you can literally get through any crisis at the school, like literally. Yeah. So the first little bit, we're like, okay, well, we're going to just like take a 2-week break because nobody knew anything. No one knew how all of this worked or whatever. So we're like, okay, we'll just go virtual for 2 weeks. So we did that. And then about halfway through, they're like, no, we're going to go a month. We're like, okay. So like went a little longer. Once we like realized like, okay, the whole school year is like kind of shot. Then we started buying like backgrounds and trying to make like a cool background for our videos. And then the hard thing was I was trying to make all these kindergarten videos where it was very interactive, and I'm basically standing on my head trying to keep everything entertaining. But I also had kids at home too. Just trying to like reach out to the moms and text, be like, "Hey, how's it going? You okay?" And I tried to go live a couple times with these kids, and it was like awful. These kids just kept hitting all the buttons, and
Oh no.
they like would figure out how to play like a game on the screen. I'm like, can you stop that? And then they wouldn't log off. And I'm like, I've been here for an hour. You need to leave. But yeah, I definitely went through about a month of just pure fear because nobody knew anything. We didn't know how people could contract it. We didn't know all of the statistics and the rates. And so like just going to the grocery store like would almost set me into a panic mode.
Yeah.
And so my husband would go and he'd wear his mask. And this was before masks were required, but I made him a mask. And I felt so weird, like making him a mask like that. It just felt really like I was in another world or something. And every time he would leave, I would just get really anxious and really worried. And I'd make sure when he came back, we were washing our hands. And I'm like, do I need to sanitize the cereal box? Eventually, as more information came out, I started to calm down a little bit because I needed to stay calm for my students and for my kids, because I can't have my kids see me panic. Because there's one thing I know is like the children take direction from you. And so if mom and dad are freaking out, then I need to freak out too, because obviously they've lost control. So I'm trying to not let them know when mommy's feeling anxious. Like I have my days, I have my moments, and I'll just say, okay, mommy needs a break. Mommy's just going to go sit in her room for 5 minutes, or I go hide in the bathroom or whatever. I don't know. It gives me a sense of control, I guess. And then I'm good and I come out and then I can be with them. But it is difficult. Now, my kids are young. I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. So COVID is like way beyond them. So we haven't given them a ton of details exactly as to what's been going on, but just saying like, because they'll like, oh, I want to go see my friends, or why can't, we have a birthday party or whatever. And I just have to kind of be like, well, lots of people have been sick lately. So we're just trying to be careful that, we don't get colds or whatever. But it did take a toll on the kids. Your guys' kids are younger.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they still need the social aspect, but they just take that all from you now because you're the human in the room.
Like what you're hearing so far? Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you, and we really love sharing with you guys. Now back to the show. So right before quarantine hit, I had mom friends, and we were like going out, and we were spending like entire days out. Right. I was just like, it was me and my kids and their kids, and then like other adults. And so like, it was great for me because I could just like leave in the morning and come back in the evening, and then it was fine. And then all of a sudden, like I was just at home all day, every day. And it was like the same day. So like I've been living the same day for over a year, and it's just like, please just get me out. I don't know. And plus like, I like postpartum depression pretty hard. And so like these mom friends that I had made, and we were like going out, like they were helping me get out of that. And then all of a sudden like quarantine hit, and then like I kind of feel like, oh no, I'm sinking again, So I'm on medication, and then I had to like up my meds because this is a once in a lifetime kind of deal. So my psychiatrist was like, oh yeah, like I've upped everyone's meds because
I'm pretty sure everyone is taking something.
Yeah.
And like if there's ever a time to really talk about mental health, like now is the time, because everyone is freaking out, everyone is stressed out, everyone is going on that emotional roller coaster. So I feel like now is probably going to be a time where there's really a breakthrough. We're talking about depression, anxiety, postpartum depression. It's going to become a little bit more normal because now everyone's getting a little taste of what it is. And then those who are really, really struggling with it, like it's hitting really hard.
Yeah. I don't know. It like I have good days and bad days, I guess. Plus now like I'm also pregnant. So like pregnancy hormones just makes everything worse. And like the weird thing about pregnancy hormones is like they're natural, I guess, because they're hormones and stuff. And like I almost wish it was like, when you get drunk or something, like there's a definite change in like who you are versus sober versus drunk. But like your pregnancy hormones, like it just feels like it's you. So I just feel like I'm just crazy. Like that's just who I am now, and I like forget that like, oh, it's just because I'm growing a human.
Mhm.
Like I'm constantly like, I'm just completely like batshit crazy now. Like I guess that's just, guess that's my life. I don't know. So that's been fun. I feel bad for my husband. He's being a trooper. A lot of times, like I'll just kind of fly in a rage and like go lock myself in the closet or something, and then he'll be like,
Mhm.
"Okay, guess I'm taking it from here." Like, all right, and I feel bad because Lily sometimes like she'll see that and then like I try to hide it, but it's just really hard. And then my husband and I will have conversations about we shouldn't let her see things like that. And like I mean I know
Mhm.
that I really do. It's just it's tough. It's hard to always like hide stuff, which is why I like being honest and I like just talking about things because we
Mhm.
can't like keep things bottled up and like hide things because then it just gets worse. And then you really do feel like you're all alone, more than people probably already do. I feel really alone. Even though I do have people that I talk to, I still, because you don't see people. I mean, FaceTime and Zoom, it's not the same. Sometimes it actually makes me more sad. Like my best friend and I will FaceTime, and then after we get off the call, like I'll be really sad because I'm like, but that wasn't real.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, like it was nice to see her, but I mean I didn't really see.
Yeah.
It's just it's hard. I'm just glad that Lily's too young to really know what's going on. She's also
Mhm.
extremely social still. Like I'm surprised. I'm like, we never go anywhere. She doesn't see other kids, but somehow she loves people and every time she sees people, she's blowing kisses and like all this
Aw.
stuff, social stuff. And she's reaching all her milestones and learning a bunch of words and she's just talking up a storm. And so like I'm really, really proud of that because I feel like I haven't really done a whole lot. I feel like
It's
I'm kind of.
okay. I can tell you from a teacher's standpoint, and like, because I did preschool too. So I've done everything from babies all the way up to kindergarten. It is okay. You don't have to be sitting there hardcore with a flashcard every day. They will naturally pick things up,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter how quickly they get to the milestone as long as they get there.
Yeah.
But I understand the mom guilt too because like when I was teaching, some of my first few years teaching, I had my daughter Clara in the classroom, and she was like the only kid who didn't know the answer. And I'm like, "But you're mine, but you should know because I'm your mom and I'm the teacher." It's like, come on. But eventually, she's got it and she picked it up. But I totally get it too because I was like, because other teachers were in the room and they're like, "Oh, well, her kid doesn't know what B says. It says bah." I'm like,
It's crazy. Like I really do feel like I'm like I always say like I'm hashtag lazy mom because I mean I just like I'm tired and I have my anxieties and depression and it's really tiring by itself and so like I feel like I don't have the energy to always be as hands on with her and so when I see her like doing things I'm like wow like who taught you that it wasn't me like but she picked it up for me but it's just I'm like, you're learning all these things by yourself. Like, I should be doing a better job, but it's fine. Well, how are you doing, Tara, with quarantine stuff?
Well, quarantine was much different from me because I'm a nurse.
Oh, yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, so I guess for me, all I wanted to do was stay home. And another like big factor was that I had just come back from maternity leave like a month before COVID hit. And so like I already had like crazy emotions going on. And then I just had unbelievable anxiety about going to work, what I was bringing home from work. Should I stop breastfeeding? How am I going to pump at work and keep things clean and like sanitized everything all day long? Um, and so my anxiety really came from just like leaving the house and, worrying about what I was bringing home to my baby, to my husband. And then I mean, work was just a disaster in itself. And yeah, so quarantine, the hard part, I loved being home when I was home. And I think that I was at an advantage. You know, I mean, nurses, so many of my friends have hit some really like low lows this year.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's happened too, but in a way that like I just don't love my career anymore. But I love that I get to come home to, being a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like the highlight for me, is just coming home.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of it was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
And also it was hard because, my parents and then my husband's parents didn't get to see Charlotte for, like she was 4 months old or something when we went into quarantine, and they didn't get to see her until she was, twice that old. And so that's like kind of hard, because it's just like you never get that time back with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just little tiny tykes like that. So that was hard. But just kind of carrying on and doing the things we have to do so that someday we can get back to like some amount of normalcy.
Yeah. Hope it's soon.
Me too.
Did you have to go into work like more, like longer hours because of everything going on? Did they like ask you to come more?
So they definitely, we needed more nurses all the time, but I just didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, you had a new baby. I mean, I don't know if I could have done that. Like,
I can't imagine having a new baby. I mean, first of all, just having a newborn when quarantine starts, but on top of that, like being a nurse, like I mean, my hat's off to you, or whatever the saying is.
But yeah, it was just like, I seriously in the beginning just considered like taking a leave of absence, and I was like, well, I guess I can quit my job, if this is the choices I have. But not that financially makes sense. We did keep we have kind of a unique childcare situation where my daughter goes to our nanny's house because our nanny has a son with epilepsy. So she stays home with him, and then Charlotte just goes and hangs with them. And so we were able to keep like our regular situation. We, took our daughter to our nanny's house still, and they quarantined and we quarantined. So we felt safe about it. But that was nice for my husband, because he could, I can't imagine, having to try and work full time with a little baby.
Oh yeah, I have a video clip of my husband he's sitting in the living room and he's on his laptop, probably grading or maybe working on the yearbook or something. And my youngest, who is 2, is in a tutu, and you just see her coming in and out of the frame, just spinning and singing her Elsa song, and he is just so focused because he's already been doing this for who knows how many months, and she's just living her best life. It's just it didn't start off that way where we could ignore each other, but it's just so funny. Yeah, working from home it's great for the people who can do it, because then they don't have to lose their income. But man, the ones who have kids, like, it's so hard.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of my friends, we're nurses, so we work 12-hour shifts generally, and they switched to like doing all weekends so that they could be home with their kids when there was, they had really no choice for school and stuff like that. But then they didn't see their spouse because they worked during the week. The nurses worked it all the weekend long. So just a lot of tough decisions for everyone. And we'll see how we come out on the other side of this, right?
Yeah.
Even though, like, I know mental health is a stigma, and like people like to talk about like masks and like being safe and like all the health stuff, but then I don't really hear anything about like mental health and like helping people, emotionally through it and stuff. And so like I really wish that there was more of like a balance, like there are people that'll be like, yeah, well, yeah, it sucks for everybody, but I mean, you gotta do it. But I mean, it does really suck. Like, and that's the problem, is that like a lot of people feel like, since they have to do this, since they want to protect other people, like their feelings about it don't matter.
Right.
But I mean, they do,
Sure.
And so, I mean, I guess that was my biggest thing this whole time.
Well, I want to end on just a little bit of a lighter note, is that right now we are definitely in the thick of the story. We're in the scary part of the story. Every good novel has a hero. My favorite heroes are the ones who have to accept the quote unquote adventure that they don't want. Well, we've all been thrown into this reluctant adventure that none of us want. And we're all kind of like in the climax of it. Like, it's really intense and it's really big, but we don't know what the end of the story is. And every day we're making decisions, the little baby steps that can, how do I want to say this? Change the ending of our story. Mm-hmm. So if you think of it kind of like that, like we're in the middle of this arc of the story, and if you're reading a novel, the character's going to be fine in the end, but in the middle of it, he doesn't know that. So we're in the middle of it and we don't know. And I think in the end, we will emerge, quote unquote, as heroes, especially, all the doctors and the nurses and the moms and the dads. But we just got to get there. And I don't think we'll necessarily know when we've gotten there. But when we look back and our grandkids ask us, what was 2020 like? I think it'll really like hit what we got through.
Yeah.
So there's hope.
Yeah, definitely. I think that now's the time to really like huddle together. And there's a lot of like, there's been lots of negativity and division and stuff. And I just, it's important for us we need to really, really try hard to reunite and hold each other close. And, I mean, we'll the only way we can get through this is together, I think. So, but I mean, we will do it, and we'll be better for it. And, as you said, our grandkids, oh, what was it like living? And, and we'll be like, oh yeah, no big deal, I'm just like superhero or whatever.
That we're all going through this together, and you're not alone, Yeah, you're not the only mom who hides in the bathroom, who plugs in her earbuds just to zone out while their kids watching Peppa Pig for the 100th time today. There's days my kids watch TV literally the entire day, and I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I just need a day.
Me too.
And it's okay. You got to do what you got to do to get through it. Anyone who's a real friend is not going to look down on you like that. Maybe help you along the way, but they're not going to criticize you and not going to look down on you. This is a time in our lives that no one ever saw coming.
Yeah.
So stick close to the people who support you and who love you through it. And those of you who are criticizing you, telling you you're being a bad mom, just cut them loose. You don't need that. Just let that go.
Yeah. I think that, everything's going to be just fine. And we just need to get through it. And we just need to do the things that we need to do. And, I mean, we're moms, we're strong. We get things done, we put our hair in a messy bun and we get to work. We do the thing. So, we're stronger than we think we are. And I think that it's really important, especially now that we remember that, especially on the days where we don't feel so strong, because those days seem to be happening more frequently for a lot of people. So it's important that we remember, you're strong and you're not alone, and, you can reach out if you need to, and it's okay to not be okay. Like, I want that on a shirt. It's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
I want to make sure to say that and like have a bumper sticker and all this stuff, because, it is okay. And there's still some people that kind of force themselves to have like a good face on, and they don't let their feelings known. And, we need to let that out. You got to let it out, or else it's going to eat you alive, and you're not going to be able to get through it. If you're just avoiding it, then you have to go through stuff. You can't just jump over things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't just avoid things. So I think that that's basically just the point of this podcast, is just to, to be open about our feelings, and, and sometimes things suck. Other times things are great, but we can't be afraid to, we can't be afraid of the bad times. We can't be afraid to talk about the bad times. That's what helps me, with my depression is I don't know where I'd be if I wasn't able to talk about things and be honest. So I'm glad I can do that. And I see a therapist every week, and I can just vent, and it's good. And so I hope that people listening, they appreciate, listening to other moms vent. Maybe they're, in their car and they're crying and, listening to us, and they're like, yeah, they get it. Like things, sometimes things are bad, and that's okay. I want to help people, and even if it's just one person. Thank you all so much for joining us this week on the Imperfect Moms Club. If you liked what you heard, please be sure to visit our website, theimperfectmomsclub.buzzsprout.com, where you'll be able to subscribe as well as find links to our social media accounts and a list of our episodes. We would also love hearing from you, so feel free to leave us comments on social media or suggestions for future discussion topics. We want this podcast to be as relatable and accessible as possible, so your input would be greatly appreciated.